are Heather and Paul Christie.
And for over 12 years, we've worked with executives and entrepreneurs to accelerate change in every aspect of their business.
Because we are in the fastest paced business environment that anyone has ever seen before.
So join us for the Evolve to Win show. Well, hello and welcome to another Evolve to Win show with Heather and Paul.
Thanks for tuning in today. We're talking today about whether you might be at risk of losing some of your Rockstar employees, which is never a pleasant thing. And the reason that we're talking about this today is because we just got back from a conference in Scottsdale, Arizona, with one of our business partners, and they were sharing some recent statistics that were released by the Gallup poll. You've probably heard us talk before, if you've listened before, about the state of the American workplace and the employee engagement statistics, which are rather frightening. But this time we're going to talk a little bit about why employees are leaving.
So let's first of all define what is a rock star employee. How would you define a rock star employee? No, well, you are a rock star employee, that's for sure.
Actually,
but you're the owner. See, the difference.
I don't think I was a very good employee, actually.
Yeah, the difference is when you're the owner, you better be a rock star.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're not going to be around for a while. But finding rock stars, I mean, it's really, they're like diamonds in what is diamonds in the rough, the needle in the haystack. I mean, they are usually a very small percentage of the makeup of your employees.
That's right.
They're
a lot
of times
star players.
Yeah, if we sometimes use the rating of like A's is like your rock stars, A's, and then you have your B's who are just solid, good employees. They're out for your, good intentions, are there to do great work, and then you have C employees that are good. They're really not talking that much about how much they love their job, but you want to move those C's up to B's. And then you have your D employees, and the D employees generally you want to get rid of as soon as possible or give them to your competitors. So we're talking specifically right now about the A employees, which are the Rockstar employees.
Well, and look, I don't know whether you've actually gone through a formal exercise to rank your employees, but it's a valuable exercise to go through. The reality is you know who your best employees are. The best way to answer the question is, if you were to lose this person, what would happen to your company? And if it would be a massive impact, they're probably a really, really good employee.
Sure, yeah.
So the statistics that the Gallup poll gives us is that 51% of the American workplace is currently actively seeking new employment.
What? 51%?
So
that
just over half.
Like 1 out of 2 people are looking for a job.
Yeah. So statistically speaking, half of your employees right now actually have their resumes out there. And I know that most people, when they hear that statistic, they're probably like, they're a little taken back, but then they say, oh, but not at my company, right? Wouldn't you think?
Sure.
Most people don't necessarily relate to that, and they think that that's not happening at their company. But I want you to think about this. This is, again, statistically speaking, half of the employees, 51%, are actively seeking employment. And let's talk about what that really means, because we are in just a phenomenal job market, depending on how you look at it. If you're an employee, it's a great job market because there's so much job availability. Unemployment is so low. Employers are actively seeking, like never before, new employment. So even if this has been true for quite some time, because the job market is so good right now, they're actually likely to get picked up if they're good employees. This is why we think it's the best of the best employees that are really at risk, because if their resume's out, there are companies who are so, highly competitive right now trying to get great employees in. And we know that employers are much more likely to want to recruit someone who has an existing job than go after somebody who's unemployed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, that's just sort of a standard rule of thumb. So what do you do about this?
But first of all, so what does that mean to the employer? So what does that mean? I mean, so you have 51%. Let's say it's true in your company. 51%, 50% of the people, 1 out of 2 people are actively looking for a job or have their resumes out. What do you do about it?
Well, I think the answer is you focus really, really hard on retention strategies, especially for your best employees.
Mhm.
And I think retention is always a conversation, right? Companies are always talking about we want to retain our employees. So what kinds of things do you do? I'm not just talking about the ping pong table or the snack machine or whatever it is.
Yeah,
that
providing
has
lunch
been,
and things like that, which is
yeah,
nice. Those are
yeah.
nice little bonuses.
Those are great perks. But if you go and you actually study the Gallup poll and the statistics and some of the articles that have been written out there, one of the top reasons that 51% of people have their resumes out there reportedly is that they don't feel that their job has meaning.
Mhm.
So they don't feel like they have meaningful employment. So what does that mean? They don't feel like they have a purpose, or they don't understand their purpose. They don't understand how their job is connected to the company goals, how their job is connected to the bigger picture, how their job is connected to serving the clients or maybe the internal clients, the other employees. So I think that that's a great place to start, is to really, really look at your organization and not just ask yourself, but ask the employees, what is the purpose of your job? Because meaningful employment, look, I think culture is a big part of this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We've always heard that people leave bosses, they don't leave companies. And I think that still holds true.
So say that again.
That people leave bosses, they leave their managers. Bad managers are the reasons that most people quit.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this or watching this, think about past jobs that you had. Did you leave that job because of the job itself or because of a person, and more specifically a boss? I know I did.
I know I did.
I almost left this job because of my boss.
Several times, in fact. But yeah, I think so that continues to be true. So the more that companies are pouring into developing their managers, the higher their retention rate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the studies show that the better a manager is at coaching and developing their employees, the higher the level of engagements of their employees. There's a direct correlation that comes from a Harvard Business Review study.
Yeah.
So it's, how do you really make a direct impact on retention? Certainly you do it through working directly with your managers and making sure you have the best of the best managers out there. But the other thing is, I think about how often when we work with clients, we find that the role agreement, the description of the role that each person has within the organization
Mm-hmm.
is really not current. It's not documented in a current format.
That's a great point.
They will hire someone and have a job description, but then sometimes that person's been with the company for years and it's never been updated. It's never been discussed. And so that person just comes in and probably, starts to feel like a little bit of a hamster wheel kind of deal,
Mm-hmm.
where they're going to work every day and they're doing the work, but they're not exactly sure why. So I do think one of the very first things, if we look at the statistics and what they found, and the fact that 51% are leaving with the number one reason being that they don't feel like their job is meaningful, I would go directly after that. And I would focus on really making sure that every single employee all the way down to the front line understands their value and understands their purpose for the work that they're doing. And, make sure that their role description is actually up to date, that they understand what they're responsible for, how they're being measured, and how they're being developed, right? How are you developing them to be great at the job they're in so that they're ultimately going to be ready for the next job?
Yeah, I totally believe that if you as the employer, as the boss, really are pouring into an employee and they feel like that you care about them,
Mm-hmm.
and that you feel like that they are investing in you and putting together a program, a leadership development program, a program to develop you as a better employee. But most people, are 50-50 they want to be developed as a good employee and good specifically for that job, but they also want that personal development as well. That's right. So, I mean, some of the easiest things that employers can do is just like, hey, here's a book. I want you to read this, and we're going to have a quick discussion about it. Whether you have a small team or you have a large team, you can put that in, because there's going to be some people that take it on. There's going to be some people that don't take it on.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an opportunity, and it's reaching out to them. Having that plan, sitting down like at the beginning of the year and saying, what do you want to improve on? What's the number one thing that can make the biggest difference in your life? Not only at work, but personally as well. That means so much to people.
Mm-hmm.
Just that little bit of a conversation and putting a plan like that together could retain an employee for years on.
Mm-hmm. It shows them you care.
Yeah.
And also the thing that we know, because again, we're talking about your Rockstar employees. I know that you're not nearly as upset when you lose a less than mediocre employee, right?
Yeah, don't give the book to the D employee.
No, give it to him. Maybe you can turn him into a C.
Yeah.
But your Rockstar employees, those who are the best of the best, they want to grow and develop. This we know, right? So when you're talking about sitting down and creating a development plan every year, and it's not, we'll talk about performance reviews on another podcast, but
yeah, let's do that next time.
But it's really the employees who are the best of the best are seeking growth all the time, right? They are seeking development. They have talent, and they are extremely interested in tapping into into their own talent. And so the more that you make that a priority as a manager, or the more you help your managers make that a priority, the more likely you are to retain some of those top employees.
That's great. So that's really a little bit about how you could potentially be losing Rockstar employees. And hopefully we've given you some tips and things that you can put in place and start to implement to start retaining these great people. Because as we mentioned, 51% based on the Gallup poll, which is one of the most highly respected polling in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly is. They do hundreds of thousands of different polling to get the statistics that we're talking about. So, just to understand that and realize that, basically 1 out of 2 people that you work with, or if you are the employer, 1 out of 2 people that are working for you are actively looking for another job. So you really want to start to get engaged, start asking more questions to them, put some retention strategies in place like we talked about here. If you're just hopping on now or you are listening, implement some of those.
And I'm going to say one more thing. We've been having this conversation more towards the business owner, the executive team, where we're talking about, what to do if you're at risk of losing these Rockstar employees. But how about those of you out there who are Rockstar employees and your resume's out there, you're looking for a new job? I'm just going to say this to you. If you actually enjoy the work you're doing and you enjoy the company, you like the company culture, maybe you're struggling with the leadership or a bad manager, please go talk to somebody. Talk to somebody in HR, talk to somebody else who you respect at that company, because I promise you, if you're a great employee, they don't want to lose you. And if they have an opportunity to fix whatever's not working, there's a good chance that if you open up and you share with your company, somebody at your company who you respect, that they are going to do something for you versus you having to go and start a brand new position. And we also know that those who stay with organizations longer have a much better opportunity of truly tapping into their talent and developing their potential versus hopping from job to job. So if you are one of those people and you feel like you're a great employee, but you're just not developing at the level that you'd like to be developing, please go talk to somebody, because I'm sure your employer does not want to lose you to the competition.
Yeah, and so, we here, Heather and I, at Evolve Global, we specialize in assessing for employees and hiring, and we also do strategic planning and executive coaching, and we've been around for about 15, 16 years now. Actually, we're coming up on our 15th wedding anniversary on the 23rd.
We are.
So
that's fun. Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a big day. And if you haven't connected with us yet, please go to heatherchristie.com, sign up for our leadership list. The very first thing that you get when you sign up for our leadership list is a book of our a list of our top recommended books for business, personal, professional growth. So if you haven't done that yet, heatherchristie.com and sign up for our leadership list. Hope you have a great day today.